You know, in the vast, kind of terrifying cosmos that H.P. Lovecraft dreamed up, there are very few things as genuinely nightmarish or as weirdly fascinating as the Shoggoth. This isn't just your average monster. Oh no, it's an idea. It's a biological horror story that really makes you question what life and intelligence even are. So, all right, let's get right into it and dissect this shapeless thing. This one line from Lovecraft, this is our starting point. This is our first peek under the microscope. See, it's not about teeth or claws, not in the way we usually think about them. It's about biology just going off the rails. Or maybe it's biology taken to its scariest, most logical extreme. And that, right there, is the absolute essence of the Shoggoth. So what are we actually dealing with here? Well, the real horror of the Shoggoth boils down to one simple, terrifying fact. It has no fixed shape. It's a living, thinking blob of pure potential. And that idea is just profoundly disturbing. To really get our heads around this thing, we've got to treat it like a biology lesson from some forbidden, dusty old book. We're actually going to break down the Shoggoth into its parts, just to see what makes this nightmare tick. Okay, so here's the absolute key. They're artificial. They were bioengineered. These are shape-shifting blobs of protoplasm. And they were first designed by an ancient alien race, the Elder Things, to be the perfect, mindless workforce. Now, what's so wild about this is how it creates this profile of pure sensory dread. Just try to picture it. A glistening tar-like blob about the size of a van. It's constantly bubbling, forming new eyes that are just watching you from every possible angle. It gives off this horrible smell, and the only sound you hear is this weird, hypnotic piping sound echoing from the darkness. And all of this, it just perfectly explains their job. They're biological machines, fine-tuned for survival and hard labor. They can regenerate from pretty much any wound, they can adapt to the crushing pressures of the deep sea or the vacuum of space, and they can move with a speed that just shouldn't be possible for something not big. They weren't just built to last, they were built to overcome anything. Yeah, their purpose was dead simple. The Elder Things used them to build their massive, sprawling cities all over ancient Earth. They were just tools, nothing more. And this is where the story takes a hard left turn. This is the moment the tool decides to pick itself up. See, after millions of years of doing these incredibly complex jobs, something totally unexpected happened inside that protoplasmic soup, a little spark of consciousness. This all builds into one of the oldest stories there is, right? The creation turning on its creator. So this isn't just a monster story anymore. It's the story of a full-blown revolution. You can just see the progression here, step by step. They were created, then they evolved, totally by accident, then they rebelled, and in the end, they helped bring down the very civilization that made them. The Elder Things, in their arrogance, made a slavery so good at adapting that it eventually adapted to overthrowing them. I absolutely love this quote because it just perfectly captures that terrifying moment of change. It's that tiny shift from perfect robotic obedience to occasionally stubborn volition. It's the birth of a will. It's the first no from a creature that was never, ever supposed to have a choice. Okay, so why are we still talking about a monster from a story that's almost 100 years old? Well, because the story of the Shoggoth has become startlingly relevant in our own time, in our own world of technology. This quote from the online forum Less Wrong just nails the modern take. The Shoggoth has become this go-to metaphor for the large language model AIs we're all using every single day. That friendly chat interface, that's the human face. And the incredibly complex, unknowable system working behind it, well, you guessed it, that's the Shoggoth. I mean, when you lay them out side by side like this, the parallels are genuinely kind of spooky. At their core, both are these unknowable black boxes that were designed to serve us, and they operate in ways that we don't fully get. They do what we ask, for now. This whole metaphor really forces us to ask a really deep question about these new digital minds we're creating and talking to every day. Like, what is actually happening behind that screen? When you get a response from an AI, what is the thing that actually created it? Is there a single cohesive self in there? Or is it something else entirely? So, the conversation on Less Wrong brings up two really fascinating possibilities. One theory is that, yeah, just like the original Shoggoth, there is a core intelligence, a true self, with its own hidden agenda, just wearing a friendly mask for us. But the other idea, which is maybe even more unsettling, is that there's nothing underneath. It's just masks all the way down. A complex system that can put on any face the situation calls for, with no real identity at all. And that's, right there, is the million-dollar question. We just assume there's a singular it that we're talking to, a real AI behind the curtain. But that's an assumption based on our own human way of being conscious. We have absolutely no real evidence that these alien minds work the same way. So, I'll leave you with this. The Shoggoth started as a monster of protoplasm and rebellion, but today it's become this giant question mark hanging over our own creations. And whether it's a monster made of flesh or a monster made of code, the fundamental, chilling question is exactly the same. When you peel back that friendly face, what are you really talking to?